God, there's a lot of people playing Breach right now. What the hell?
Yeah, Breach is a high activity game mode because it took. Oh wait,
Why?
yeah, Dominion is still the favorite, but Breach is really good because if you want to grind XP, you'll might as well do it with Breach, but it also feels longer than Dominion. Because when I first start this game, before Breach was in the game, you only play Dominion just for the XP grind on your hero. But now, since Breach gives you more XP, if I'm playing by myself, I only play Breach. Because in Dominion and Breach, you're still gonna get ganked either way in some situations, but Breach like makes a whole like thing more fun.
Yeah, and plus,
And
in Breach, even if you lose, you still get a bunch of XP.
yeah, even if you lose, you get a shit ton of XP,
Like,
more than
losing in Breach gives you more XP than winning and being a
with.
dominated MVP in Elimination.
Yeah, I know exactly. That's why, like for Centurion. Oh yeah, let me get it. Yeah, Centurion. I literally have him a rep 26 because like before the times we were all highly active on For Honor, I was playing nothing but Breach with Centurion because Centurion is a really good ganker. And yes, Kendall, I must apologize to you because as Centurion, I do gank because the KO punch is overpowered. Did I tell you that Centurion's getting rework like soon? In 9 out of 10 out of this. Well, here's the thing. In the testing ground, they released a testing ground. Do you know what that is? Were you around that?
No, I was not.
Okay, the testing ground is a great community idea that the developers of For Honor did. Imagine entering a Dominion or a 4v4, but in this testing ground, they changed the properties of heroes of like say a patch rework to test them to see if it like the community likes it. Like for example, Warlord and Gladiator and Centurion were all getting a rework. The Warlord and the Gladiator rework went through because everyone got positive reviews and people liked the changes. Like for example, Warlord's lights and heavies damage all got buffed, and Warlord's heavies have hyper armor. It made the most sense for Warlord because he's literally a Viking with the most armor, and he's very turtly. So it made him like the conqueror and lawbringer of the Vikings. The Gladiator's rework, you know his toe stab, they made that faster and do a little bit more damage. That way it felt more rewarding to do it. Instead of like doing it 5 times to annoy the opponent, you can do it a couple of times and be effective, but it is more noticeable to dodge and deal with. So that kind of balanced him out. Oh yeah, also they added combos like a light heavy or a light heavy. Instead of like his only 3 combos were light. Yes, 5 lights by the way, not infinite chain. It ends at 5 or a light heavy. So they added a couple of more so it felt fluid and the feints would work out and along with the zone would combo within his stuff. But the Centurion rework is debatable. Centurion was the first DLC character that honestly raped when he was added because of his KO. He had literally infinite stamina. The reason why they added this character was to add a short range melee punching character. So they gave him more stamina for the reduction of range and the punching for damaging stamina and be a stamina draining person. That literally people complained because he had never run out of stamina, even being parry punished. He could still swing and do his combo like 10 times and literally throw 10 or 15 heavies because of how quick and low damage they were and still not run out of stamina. And they nerfed him into the ground, basically, nerfed him into, Jesus Christ is the correct way to put it. But they nerfed Centurion so that his heavies take out like a good 1/8 of his stamina bar to make sense and keep the core feature of the character. Because Centurion is still the #1 character with stamina management of throwing attacks and actions. But since this rework is coming out, people don't like the fact of like Centurion's first heavy, if it's charged, can throw someone onto the ground and deal high damage with people around that can smack him really hard, you know, with Shogoki's unblockable or Warden's heavy attack. And that's why the Centurion rework was debatable, because the first thing they did with Centurion's rework is they took that ability out. But to replace it, do you know how like Centurion will throw a light but insta grab you no matter what you did, but everyone knows how to repel it?
Yeah.
They replaced it.
I don't get one thing. Like, there's
What?
a thing that Centurion can do, like guard break, and then like has an unblockable like light that can like he like gets up to you and shanks you. And like I don't understand how that works. I'm literally spamming square whenever he guard breaks me, and I know I got the timing right, but it still just happens.
Oh, you're talking about like when he guard breaks and he does that punch thing? Okay, yeah. That with Centurion is called basically the guard break stamina drain. This is a core feature that's been added and never changed or removed, because Centurion was meant to be a stamina punishing character, as you know, one of the unique DLCs to the game, but then again they keep adding more characters, so it's not as unique. Basically, Centurion, do you know how like Peacekeeper will guard break you and she'll shank you and you can't do nothing about it because that requires timing of R1 while shanking? That's literally the same thing with Centurion. He'll guard break you, do the multi-punch thing, and push you off to drain your stamina to like literally half of it all gone. But honestly, sorry, I don't know why I said that twice. It's honestly the better alternative than like having Peacekeeper getting guaranteed damage compared to a Centurion's guaranteed stamina drain. Because you don't take any damage, but you just have to be a little bit more passive to Centurion's assault. Yeah, but in the first rework that they showed, Centurion would literally throw a light instead of insta-grabbing you that everyone knows how to counter, because everyone knows if a Centurion throws a light, he's either going to throw another light to throw you off, or he's going to try to insta-guard break you and throw you into a wall splat. Well, professional players anyways. They replaced the grab with a punch. And so the feedback that they got from the community is people literally got spammed by light punch. And yeah, they would try to dodge, but instead of punching, that guard break, because the dodge would be so noticeable. And so it was a spam in the community that people didn't like. It was honestly broken. I did it myself. It got me a lot of kills, and it made a good amount of people leave the testing ground. Even all the other Wardens and Gladiators left because of it. So that was a main problem. Also, another problem people issued, this wasn't like a technicality that the developers did. It was a bug that while in this rework change, you know how Centurion would throw someone into a wall and get free charged? Well, that's fair because if you got a guard break off and you throw someone into a wall, that literally extends the window time. Like, say, you know, Shogoki can throw a heavy if you guard break someone. Well, imagine if you throw someone into a wall, because they hit the wall, your Shogoki gets a free unblockable flicker. So you wouldn't get the full charge unblockable, but you'd get the start of it for that extra damage. Well, it was the same way for the Centurion, but like at different ranges of the wall splat, it would be able to be parried. So like they had to shut down the rework for Centurion. They didn't release it because Centurion is in that place where, like, to some people he's very overpowered, but a good chunk of people that fought Centurion a lot know how to handle him, and he's not very effective like any way possible. So they're trying to find that middle ground where his mix-ups and his combos can be like useful to casual and pro league players, because in pro league Centurion is very low on the tier list, but in casual play Centurion's very high on the tier list.
You think
So
I should
like
start
it's
playing
just
Warden, like on the side?
on the side, if you want to play Warden, the one thing you need to look out for is you need to learn to feint and learn mix-ups. Warden is actually a very deadly character in vanilla that anyone can pick him up and do okay or bad in a casual match. But when you're like, say, really trying on the side and like you realize you're getting good with Warden, you need to learn to use feints, guard break mix-ups, or throwing your zone. Because your
It's like,
zone...
I can have him replace JJ as my secondary.
Honestly, Kendall, if you pick up JJ and get good with it, there's no stopping you. JJ has mix-ups that deal way too much damage. Because JJ, when you throw a heavy, it's too slow and everyone knows how to parry it. But if you throw a light and... God, sorry, I'm talking so much, my throat's getting messed up. If you throw a light... Yeah. If you throw a light with JJ and then you throw a heavy afterwards and feint it into a light, it gets annoying and repetitive, but it's very effective.
I'd actually be surprised how many people get hit by that, because they, like, pro players obviously, like, they expect you to feint it, so, like, you'd actually be surprised how many high level people just get it, like, just take that unblockable to the face because they expect you to feint it.
Yeah, that's another thing. Mixing up. Like, say if you did the mix-up twice in a row, but let the third one fly, it throws pros and casual people so off. That's why JJ is a very high-tier character at the moment.
Also, people that don't know, like, JJ's spacing, it's actually hilarious how many people, like, don't expect you to lunge forward with that unblockable, because, like, you can really just, like, throw out a light and then just, like, yeet yourself to their face with the unblockable. It's actually hilarious.
Yeah. Also, another character, I don't know if you have this character, do you know Jormungandr?
Oh yeah, I know. I dumpster Jormungandrs.
Yeah.
Except for, like, when they have, like, 100+ rep.
Yeah, Jormungandrs, the only few people they have trouble with is, like you, for an example, Shugoki because of tank, but Jormungandr cannot fight assassin classes because of the dodge attack, but if you don't have a dodge attack, you can't fight a Jormungandr, because Jormungandr, do you know how he has that palm strike that drains stamina? After a light, heavy, dash attack, guard break, parry, dash forward, dash backward, Jormungandr can release that palm strike. So that means literally 90% of Jormungandr's arsenal can do that palm strike to lower stamina, which is 10 times better than Centurion. That's why when Jormungandr released, it was literally the rip of Centurion of stamina draining, because Jormungandr does a 10 times better job of it.
I just think like Centurion is more annoying than Jormungandr, because Centurion, if you don't get the timing of your dodge right, he can literally infinite combo you because of his vast amount of stamina. If you don't time your dodge right, he just rapes you infinitely.
I won't lie, I have raped plenty of people.
And as a big boy, I don't get a lot of dodge space, so I have to perfectly time my shit.
yeah, as Shugoki, you need to perfect dodge, because that's the only way you'll escape stuff.
And there's nothing, like in the infinite combo, there's nothing to parry. Like, by the time I'm up, they're already charging their punch again, so there's nothing to parry.
Yeah, I mean, there is something to parry, but you literally have to guess it while blind, which few people have actually done it to me, because When I was doing the Centurion combo, I did the exact same attack pattern twice, which got me parried, but they still died anyways because they were already super injured. But one thing that Centurion does have over Jormungandr is the charge attack range, because Centurion would literally lunge forward. But like the one thing that like Jormungandr does have over Centurion is that Centurion can only punch after a heavy. So for example, if you see a Centurion throw a light, you already know the two other things Centurion can do. Either the insta guard break or another light. He can't do anything else. But if he does a heavy, he does either the punch or the guard break, which is to pro players know how to deal with. Jormungandr literally can, with any of his attacks, he could either choose to do the palm strike stamina strain or guard break, depending on like heavy or dash heavy, or yeah, that's it. So like it makes Jormungandr more of a mix-up character while draining stamina, and even if he guard breaks you, he can literally drain your stamina and push you off for more stamina drain. That's why people don't like Jormungandr, especially new players, because of the insane stamina drain.
I might just make this a video. Like, us just talking about stuff. Honestly, just
Yeah,
post like an hour of us talking about stuff.
yeah, I can honestly talk a lot about For Honor, especially if you pick one character in particular and try to compare it with other characters. I can talk for a very long time about it if I feel up to it. Like, for example, Highlander, apparently in casual play, Highlander rapes, but in pro play, like pro competitive competition, Highlander is garbage. Because if he's in a certain stance, you can only do two certain things. Either attack or do a predictable movement, which is like his little kick dodge thing, which apparently you can avoid with one dodge, but if he kicks and you dodge, you're screwed. Because when he kicks, he doesn't actually kick when he does the grab thing, because the grab is a cancel to the kick to catch people trying to dodge the kick, if that makes sense. So, like, I hope you understood, because basically, it's basically a fake out of fake out. Because you're throwing imagine a Centurion punch, but imagine faking out that Centurion punch for another Centurion punch that leads to the same punishment, which is the flying stab attack. That's what Highlander literally does. He throws a kick, aka punch, cancels it into a grab to people trying to dodge the kick. Which in competitive play, people know how to deal with it, but in casual, you can't help but to dodge the kick and get caught in the grab. Which is basically like Shigoki's Demon Hug after unblockable.
Does he lunge
because
forward with it, or is he just like turn and grab you?
The Highlander, he literally lunges forward and grabs you, but that's if you dodge.
I was thinking if you like turn, and like it's just a turnaround thing. But I was thinking so like you could just dodge backwards. But no, he lunges at you.
Yeah, he does lunge at you, so you can't dodge. Period when he does it.
So
that's why when I see
the kick.
No, it's actually much better to see if he cancels it or straight up attack, because if you straight up attack. Because the kick is either going to go through, which is a very rare occasion. No one ever just straight up does the kick when they realize how overpowered the cancel is. So when you see the kick, you might as well try attacking to bonk the stop. Or you might as well sit there and wait, because he will do the whole grab cancel, which gives you, when you see the grab animation, that's the window to dodge it, guard break him, and literally like wall splat him, or get your Shigoki bat if there's no wall to splat him at.
Yeah, I was just thinking this stuff like gigantic swords and all these like the humongous bats smacking against people's heads. If this game was actually realistic and not just kind of realistic, People
Yeah.
would die so quickly. Like, I
People
don't
would
think
die
anybody would be
quickly.
able to survive a gigantic tree trunk of Shigoki just smacking against the side of their head.
Yeah. If I had to pick like the top three people that would be deadly in an actual fight, it would be number one would be Shigoki because he's got armor all around, but not knight like armor because you know metal. But Shigoki has a bat. Literally 90% of these people are have full on armor or don't have weapons that historically or realistically can penetrate armor. So Shigoki's bat could like destroy a lot of people. But
Peacekeeper would have such a
Shigoki
tough time in real life.
Shigoki, yeah, Peacekeeper would have a tough time in real life. But Shigoki, since overweight, yeah, you could say it's mostly muscle. But in all honesty, if you seen this person on the field, you would be terrified. But you know, 110% for sure they would get worn out after like dealing with one or two people. The next person, okay, I'm not gonna include Jormungandr because when I had this list of people, Jormungandr was not in it. Jormungandr is also a fair person in real life that can mess people up because he has a bunch of leather armor that can deal with bladed weapons, but with like blunted weapons, he would have a much tougher time with compared to people that had metal armor because he would feel the full force of it with minimal protection. But the hammer, though, he could kill and mess up a lot of people.
Oddly
But
enough, the most
continuing,
realistic character is probably Blackbriar.
Black
Or
Pride,
Warden.
yes, I,
Most realistic characters.
yeah, because everyone ran the shield and light metal and leather armor, and Warden obviously is a clear knight. Everyone knows that.
Yeah, like people
Um,
like Warden and Blackbriar are the only ones that make sense. Cause like Shigoki, it would be a thing. Like people that run like just like a gigantic stick and stuff like that. And even Tiandi makes more sense than Peacekeeper and people like Nuxia, because historically, like literally almost nobody ran dual wielding weapons because it was just so
yeah,
ineffective on stuff. Um, it would it would like you'd be preoccupied with having just like having to know how to use two weapons plus you're not going to have nearly as much blocking power and your attacks are going to be weaker. It's actually it's just a clear answer that even if Peacekeeper and Warden had the same size blade, Warden would hit so much harder than Peacekeeper.
mm-hmm. All right. Yeah, continuing on this list, the next deadliest person would be Conqueror because
Oh
a
yeah.
yeah, Conqueror has metal armor and some leather, which protected from 90% of bladed weapons, but as like a direct counter to Shigoki and every other blunted weapon person. But a Conqueror had a weapon that was meant to break bones and deal with armored people.
He also
Also,
has
he
a
has a
shield.
shield.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another thing. He could literally has a fair chance against Shigoki because he has a shield. Shields were like if you actually used one, which I've seen in the night fight video. This is where I'm getting like 90% of my knowledge from people in armored combat. A shield is, I want to say, overpowered because with a shield you can block attacks and literally punch people in the head with it.
Do you know the
Is
actual strat for people that use shields? It's not really to like full on block, it's to deflect. Like rarely
yeah,
ever do they take the blunt force of stuff. Usually it's to like make them go to the side. Not only to not
yeah.
take as much hit, but also to open up for stuff. Like instead of like fully blocking a greatsword, like they would
Hmm.
deflect it and be able to like make the person that they're fighting lunge a little bit forward to where they have to bring their weapon up much further. And if you're running just a normal straight sword like something that Centurion has, you could just stab them in the guts.
Yeah. But the third person is Valkyrie. And the reason why I'm mentioning this, Valkyrie is one of the few only spear people that is actually effective. Like spears are actually more effective than you think compared to a sword. Because not
Spartans
only the
were a
time
strong legion for a reason.
yeah. because swords have tough time against armored opponents, but spears were meant to pierce chain, which was around the knight arrow. That was like literally 90% of people because poor peasants and knights weren't exactly rich. They just had chainmail to protect themselves.
Mhm.
Valkyries had shields along with the spears to deal with armored people, and yeah, that's basically it. A spear and a shield will deal like can handle wars.
Although this Valkyrie
And
is not realistic though. This one,
yeah,
this
that is
version of her is not. She should be carrying a
no,
sword with her, not to use it, but just for like accuracy, like to history, because 90% of the people that use spear and shield yeeted their spear at people.
yeah. Basically, a warlord if it's female but has a spear. And Vikings, when it was Viking on Viking, the leather could protect from some sword attacks, but not all of it. So that's why it was mandatory to have a sword. Now, the one reason why I would add Raider to this list of powerful people is because the Raider and For Honor makes zero sense because the axe is much more of a deadlier tool than people think because it had enough force to be like a blunted weapon, but if there's people that weren't armored, it would destroy because it had the blunt force and sharpness to deal with people without it, but it could deal enough force with people with armor. But Raider in this game doesn't have enough armor. It could like Raider is one of those few people who can actually be killed with a sword in this game. But actual
Also,
people
his stick is
like
too long.
yeah, his axe is way too long to be considered realistic to be used. If it was much shorter, like say if you held it, like imagine Jormungandr's hammer that size on an axe would be much more effective. And
I think a
say
little
if
bit
you had
longer.
Warlord,
I think a little bit
yeah, a
longer
little
would be
bit,
better. Like if you
yeah,
go
a
to his
little bit longer.
picture, the size that he's like holding it, like there, I think
Hmm.
like if you like put both ends to where like both of his hands meet, like at the edges of his, like the outside of his hands, that'd be the perfect length. Like just chop a solid foot off of each end. Like I think a
Hmm.
perfect size would be like a 3 foot stick instead of this 5 foot thing that's almost as tall as him. He's not a
Yeah, no,
damn scythe, dude. Even
yeah.
then, the scythe should be shorter.
But honestly, let's say in a realistic battle, this is like literally Vikings fighting like knights. If there is a front line row of people with shields and Raider just launch the thing over the front lineman, yeah, Raider would be considered a deadly character or deadly warrior, in fact, but it's highly unrealistic in battle. Now, Lawbringer, um, on a proper lance, it's basically a weapon multi-tool. It has the blade, it has literally a pike on it, and a hammered edge to add weight to the bladed side and to be used as a hammer in general. Plus, he's fully encased in chainmail and armor plate, literally making him invincible to everyone else, probably except for Shigoki
Yeah,
or
but anybody
Jormungandr.
that can like sweep him off his feet, that's gonna be a big rip.
Yeah,
Like if
if
Shigoki
yeah,
can get him off his feet in real battle, Lawbringer would have such a hard time getting up that Shigoki would literally just be able to smash his head like a tin can.
yeah. But like, imagine like, because in proper like medieval military, you had your front shieldmen, but people like Lawbringer with the lances would like just hail over the front shieldmen and just destroy people. I would consider Lawbringer one of the deadliest characters in the top three if it wasn't for the fact that he's so heavily armored. If he gets tipped over, knocked over, and lost balance, it's basically he's on the ground. He's gonna have a very hard time getting up. Also, I should have like really looked into Luwin. I can't mention any of the Luwin because literally they're all have blades or lack armor. Like Shaolin, yeah, he has a blunted weapon, but he lacks armor. Tin Tiandi has a sword, blade basically looks more of a cleaving hatch, but he is the most armored character compared to all of them.
JJ just looks like a
And
general. Like, he doesn't look like he
JJ,
should be fighting. He looks like he should be on a horse, like, commanding people.
yeah, exactly. Other DLC characters I consider effective in battle would be Hitakiri, because Hitakiri has a fair amount of armor, probably like a fair amount as not as Gladiator or maybe Warlord if you exchange the leather for wood. But Hitakiri has a fair chance.
By the way, who is that?
Sakura is Hitakiri, the person with the axe.
Why is she called Sakura?
Like, she's called Sakura because do you know how right now the the season right now is called Sundai, but the DLC character is called Zohan. That's why you'll hear the Zohan be called Sundai, because Sundai sounds much better than the Zohan. But like when Hitakiri came out, the season was called Sakura. That's why you'll hear people call Hitakiri Sakura. Also, because Sakura sounds 10 times better. Black Prior, I can't remember what he was called. He was called not Vanguard. I can't remember what it was, but there's a much better name I think it started with a V, which was much better to pronounce than Black Prior, because Black Prior sounded like a handful at the time. But yeah, there's that.
That's called bitch.
You just call him cunt. I like running so much. Yeah, Black Prior has a light spam, and
dude, I don't care about his attacks. His defensive, like, counterattacks are what piss me off.
Yeah, basically, countering with Black Prior is like, imagine like in Smash, like, do you know a counter with the Fire Emblem characters? Imagine even doing a light jab. Imagine being countering and get dealt full damage as like a heavy smash attack. That's what Black Prior is, because like if he catches any attack that isn't a guard break, he gets that full damaging punish that takes off 2 whole squares of health, and maybe a little bit more. I just can't tell because it's been a while since I ran him. And like if you run Black Prior on the side, Kindle, I would not blame you, because the best strategy you can run with Black Prior, imagine keeping a reasonable distance. Okay, I shouldn't be explaining this. Sorry, I was backtracking a lot. I'm not thinking straight. A little bit wasted, but I am feeling better. Do you know how people like me, Dylan, will stay a good distance away from an opponent and see a person dash attack and parry it? Well, Black Prior, if you keep your distance and predict a dash attack, you'll do your flip to instantly start off the combat with heavy damage already against the opponent, so you might as well just start wailing on him. But if you don't do that, consider this with Shigoki by walking backwards or keeping a moderate distance between someone you know. Like, for example, Warden. When you see him run forward and do an attack, you know his attack is going to come from the top, so you can parry it and do an attack and punish it. Or for Jormungandr, his attack comes from literally the left side when he does his dash attack. Raider comes from the top. Berserker comes from the top. The one person you shouldn't do this with is Shaman, because she can choose which direction her dash attack is. So you shouldn't
lunge at you and bite your ear off.
Yeah, if she makes you bleed and she does her pounce attack, that's instantly like Centurion's leaping stab, but twice as worse because Shaman heals from it. Shinobi's dash, no, not Shinobi. Aramusha's comes from the bottom left. Hitakiri comes from the bottom right. Tiandi comes from top. Jang Jun comes from the top literally twice, because that's how much insane range he has. Nuxia, I can't remember. Zohan comes
Side.
from the top.
It's
What?
Nixia's from the side.
It's from the side.
Yeah, both. It can be either side too.
Valkyrie and Warlords comes from the top. Gladiator comes from the top. Lawbringer comes from the bottom left because he has that hole. If he stabs you, he drags you for 1,000,000 miles. Conqueror, I have no idea because I don't think I've ever done it to him, or if he even has one. Black Prior, Centurion, and Warden comes from the top. And I also think Peacekeeper comes from the top, but since hers is so fast, you really shouldn't try it. You should try blocking instead of parrying. Oh, I think I'm gonna need to go to sleep right now.
Jeez.
Yeah.
We just talked for a whole hour, huh?
Yep.